Marriage falling apart, not sure what to do. I've been married to my wife for 4 years now. We always talked about having kids one day, but it was in the future. The last few years haven't been easy between us. A lot of life adjustment in COVID and me battling some depression led to a lot of friction. She started traveling this summer for work and was gone for an extended period on the other side of the country and fell in love with it. I visited her at one point, and on that trip she mentioned that she wants to move out here and also isn't sure she wants kids anymore. I've always been pretty certain I wanted kids in my future, so this was a big blow and a change from what we had always talked about for years. Didn't help the depression, and the rest of our trip wasn't fun at all. Now my wife basically says she wants to move regardless, but thinks it's best to move on her own because, in her words, I need to determine what makes me happy before we could move forward as a couple. I've articulated that I don't know how I can do that if I'm left back by myself and also without any clarity on the big question, which is kids. I said maybe it's better to just sever ties and divorce if this is where we're really at, but she said that she didn't want to make a hasty decision on it, which doesn't make much sense to me unless the real angle is just to make her plans to shed this life and start a new one easier in the immediate term, because she doesn't need to worry about going through all the BS of a divorce. We have a house and other shared assets that would need to be sold. I am stuck in a huge spiral of wondering if I try to play this out a bit or if I just say it's over. I know I want kids. She hasn't said never, but she said it's a no right now and no guarantee of that changing or timeline as to when. So the worst case is I just prolong the inevitable. It feels to me though like this is obviously about more than just the topic of kids, and really feels like I have a partner who's emotionally moving on from the marriage but maybe feels bad about it and wants to slow walk the process, so long as she's not left in the environment of the marriage itself. I know nobody can know for sure what to do, but I'd be curious to hear from others who may have faced similar situations. Is it better to just rip the band-aid off? Update: my emotions are a bad roller coaster I can't get off. I hate this so much. The discussions on separation have really started to materialize based on issues we've had with general relationship friction over the last 1.5 years, combined with my wife's newfound position she doesn't think she ever wants kids anymore. We are both 31 yo. All of this compounded by the fact she's already making plans to relocate for a work opportunity but wants to use it as a chance to take time apart. In other words, I'm not welcome to join her. At some points I think I know I'd like to have kids one day, so the only course of action is to end it now and spare any more heartache. Then I'll switch to how can I possibly just walk away and start my life all over. This isn't what I want at all. Feels like there's no winning. But she told me if wanting kids is a big thing then we need to split. But I can already picture in my head the scenario of finding out 2 years from now she's with some new guy and pregnant, which I guess is an indication that on some level I feel her change of heart on kids is a cop-out to obfuscate from other reasons she just wants out of the marriage. Haven't slept in 3 days now. I don't know how to function. Update: coming to terms with the fact my wife is cheating on me. I'm sure, like many people, when I first started getting thoughts in the back of my head about her being unfaithful, my immediate reaction was I'm thinking crazy, she could never do that to me. But I'm increasingly confident that's exactly what she's doing to me. I haven't yet come across a smoking gun, but there's been an escalating degree of behavioral flags that can't be ignored. Wanting to travel for work more and expressing desires for some time apart while she stays on the other side of the country more and more, being increasingly guarded over her phone, never leaving it out or her sight, going on long walks at night, almost 2x as long as she ever would have before. Supposedly talking to her mom the whole time, taking her vibrator with her on this most recent trip despite telling me she never uses those alone. The real kicker: she left her iPad at home before this most recent work trip, and decided it needed to be remotely reset from the airport. I guess she doesn't realize there's a timestamp in iCloud when someone does that, and there's no good reason to do such a thing unless you're concerned someone is going to see messages you don't want them to. I'm still mourning the loss of our marriage and I don't even recognize myself. Even typing this I feel like I'm sort of paranoid and insecure freak. But I don't think I'm crazy. I never had an insecure bone in my body around us until a few weeks ago, and all of this has culminated since then. She's absolutely cheating on me. Update. Wow, thank you all for the support. Did not expect to get this many responses to my story as well as so many people wanting to follow this throwaway account. I guess it's entertaining. I will keep posting updates on how this goes. Also, because I've gotten this tip multiple times, I can't access her phone records. It's a company-paid phone, we are not on the same network or bill. Otherwise I would have done that a while ago. Update, got the receipts, she's a cheater. The pie came through, best $1,000 I ever spent. Got photos of her taking her F-boy up to the hotel room while holding hands. Maybe I should have waited but the anger was overwhelming. I just messaged her saying I know all about it, and I hope they have a good time, it's over for us, and attached one of the photos. It felt good. It's her birthday today too, I hope I ruined it for her. Like the coward she is, she didn't respond. But she's out there a whole extra week, which gives me some time to start putting the affairs in order. Glad I got closure and confirmed I wasn't crazy. I deserve so much better than that gaslighting CNT. Update, she responded a few hours later saying, what is this? The gaslighting and narcissism is insane. Update 2, wow, really thank you everyone for all the support. I've been flooded with positive messages and it means a lot. I told my family about the divorce and while they were upset they totally support me. As do my close friends. She did ask to talk and I ignored it for several hours before finally just telling her I'd rather wait a day to do so. This is obviously a devastating betrayal, but I'm taking the high road. The world needs more love, not less. I've retained counsel for a lawyer and ensured Sue doesn't have access to the credit cards where I hold liabilities. I think we can mostly be amicable. Let's hope. Update, continuing to move forward while she denies it. We talked today for the first time. She actually suggested that the photographic evidence I had of her holding the hands of a guy and walking up to her hotel room with him didn't prove anything. Apparently he's just a friend and someone who would listen to her, because I was supposedly not doing that. I told her I didn't believe her and it was irrelevant at this point. I think ultimately she's trying to save face because she was suggesting it's not fair for me to tell my friends and family she was having an affair. I didn't really answer that, but I just told her I had no intention of slandering her to her own family, because it accomplishes nothing. In the end she agreed to pretty much all the proposed terms of separation I had laid out. She also told me she'd already leased an apartment in this new city beginning next month, which again is a telltale sign to me she's being duplicitous. The only real point of contention is going to be who gets the dog, which can hopefully be mediated quickly. It's been a whirlwind few days, but I'm looking forward to having all of this behind me. Redditor's reactions, story 2 after. Redditor 1. So her going up to a hotel room with a random guy doesn't prove anything. Did she say that? Why not meet at a restaurant? Why you need a freaking hotel room? Redditor follow-up, too many people believe that to prove adultery it must be beyond any reasonable doubt, that is for criminal cases, divorces and civil case, it is considered proven by the preponderance of evidence, They walked hand in hand to the hotel and spent the night and the next morning left. Hello. Any reasonable person concludes. He is so lucky his wayward wife isn't too bright. Redditor 2, after you divorce, please expose her. She's in a bubble right now, no real consequences. She needs to feel it, affairs aren't fairy tales, they're nightmares. Wake her up please. Redditor 3, if she gets a new guy you get the dog's only fair. Story 2, finally got my GF29 to admit she cheated. She packed her exit and moved 3 weeks ago. There was many red flags that lead up to this point and I could likely write a novel on my situation, but I will spare the details. Here's how I found out. Her and I got into an argument one night about something trivial. I went to bed around 11 p.m, and I received a message at 1 a.m. while I was dead asleep from my ex. She said she was going for a walk. I woke up at about 4 in the morning when she finally made it back into our bedroom. I was too tired to care and I went back to sleep until I woke later in the morning. She had slept in until about 1 in the afternoon. She also intentionally avoided leaving, returning through our front door where I have a doorbell camera installed. Likely to avoid giving me a timestamp on her whereabouts. When she finally woke up I asked about her walk as it was totally out of character. No good things happen at 1 a.m. She wouldn't tell me who she was with and I could clearly see she was making up a story on the spot. She later told me that she opened to somebody co-worker about how she was unhappy in our relationship and disclosed a little too much information that should have been obligated to discuss with me. This dude apparently walked her home and offered to kiss her. She said she declined the offer. She maintains this part of the story as truth, but my trust was already broken at this point. As weeks passed I would bring up the story and the details would change and she told me she was going to move back home. I didn't understand the idea of her leaving unless she was guilty about something, so I continued to push the issue further. One day she told me she put in her 2 weeks notice at work, so I knew she was leaving. She had messed up? She knew too. But she hadn't admitted yet. But that night she finally admitted to me after I took her phone and went through it in front of her. I told her to leave and when she had nowhere else to go, she decided to retract her statement about cheating and then said it didn't happen. That is something you don't admit to unless you actually do it. As it turns out, it was not a one-time offense and it was an affair. I may not even know the full truth or for exactly how long this was going on for. I guess I have to accept the story she has given me as truth and move on. I do have a morbid curiosity though about the real truth, but I know it's only going to hurt me more. To give some backstory, our relationship was nothing short of unconventional. We were together for 7 years and 4 of those were apart. Long distance. We tried to see each other as much as we could when we were apart, but there was some gaps in between. When we finally decided on a compromise and living together, this happens no more than a year later. If she was so quick to do this while living under the same roof as me, it's undeniable it happened when we were apart. I've invested so much into a person apart and in person, and I never thought she would just throw it all away like that. The one person I trusted more than anyone betrayed me. If she was so unhappy she should have left. I know what you guys are going through. Hope we can all find some healing. Update, she told me she wanted to cheat on me. Anyway, I posted a few weeks back after I found out about my partner's 29th affair. I still cannot shake the words she had said to me. Upon her confession, I asked why she would do that. She said with no mercy and without hesitation, I wanted to cheat on you. She had also said, what else do you want to know? I ducked other guys too. As time moved past after that night, She told me that her statement about hooking up with other guys was untrue and maintains that the only time she was unfaithful is with the AP in question. Like, how toxic can you be to say that to somebody to deliberately hurt them? Why even go to the extent of putting that doubt in my mind, especially if that statement was untrue? Call me old-fashioned, but nobody just admits to cheating with multiple partners just to PSS somebody off, especially if they didn't do it. I don't know who she is anymore or if I ever really did. Just to recap here, quick edit, her and I have no contact. Her and I are not on speaking terms right now. This is what was said to me while she was packing her up exit and getting ready to leave. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1, actually, you now know who she is. She is someone that doesn't respect you, value your relationship, and enjoys relationship intentionally hurting you. It's time to move on. Redditor 2, I have to ask why you are still in contact with her. Didn't you break up and she moved out over 3 weeks ago? She told you about multiple men to hurt you because she wanted one final twist of the knife as she was on the way out. But, with you still being in contact, she's retracted back to just confessing what you already know about. Who knows? Maybe you forgive just the one. It is a lesser offense, after all. Maybe it'll be better for her reputation if it's just the one. Or any other reason. If you are serious about breaking up, then go no contact and stop all this pain shopping. She just doesn't have any respect for you. You know this from her just going for a walk excuse at 1 AM to met her BOT call. That alone is the weakest alibi in the history of language, and she expected you to believe that. Now she's happily out to hurt you because she thought it was over and just wanted to win the conversation. Op answer, while you make a good point, we have been out of contact. All these words were spoken to me before we stopped contact. Few days after I found out. Redditor 3, do not waste your thoughts, your energy, and your time on this person. She is not worth it. Just be happy that she is out of your life. Go throw a party and move on. No children with her is a blessing. There are some people, and your ex is one of them, they need to be erased within 24 hours from your life and your history. She is a disgusting human being, for saying those things to you. Absolutely disgusting. Go enjoy life without her and enjoy your rebirth to a world without her.